abilities. Not all those things that are done in other places can apply here, but we ought to look at some of those. And then we have selected some specific countermeasures to begin implementing on some of the target streets. We're going to, after we implement those countermeasures, we're going to evaluate the effectiveness of those countermeasures by looking at, hopefully, reductions in speeding citations. And then there's a lot of issues that we have related to speed and other safety concerns that involve the state routes throughout town. And of course, DOTD is the ones who are responsible for those particular streets. And we've actually engaged DOTD with some of the concerns that our task force has brought up. And in fact, we had a meeting just last week to address some of those issues. So the high priority streets we've identified, first of all, is some of the streets that have through traffic. That is, it's not just traffic that originating from the local neighborhood there, but there's through traffic such as Fairgrounds Road and Parkway Drive. Those are kind of cut-throughs to get from one part of town to the other. We've also talked about some of the residential neighborhoods, and you see the list here that includes Town South subdivision, University Terrace, Melrose subdivision, and then the Amanda Street area. Our initial recommendations are pretty simple, basically. First of all, to replace deficient speed limit signs, and I'm going to show you some examples of those in a moment. But then to install some additional speed limit signs where they're needed, to install signs at the proper height, and I'm going to show you again an illustration of some examples where that's not the case. The manual on uniform traffic control devices, which basically is the standards for the application of traffic control devices, including signs and pavement markings and those things throughout the United States. Those standards actually require within a city setting those signs to be mounted at a 7-foot height. We hardly have any of that around town. And then to install some additional warning signs as needed. We have a lot of areas where we don't have sidewalks. We actually have pedestrians within the streets, and so we at least want to warn. I mean, certainly we want to work towards getting some sidewalks constructed in some of those areas, and hopefully if we ever get our federal RAISE grant application approved, we'll be able to do a lot more of that. But in the meantime, we at least need to warn motorists that to look out for those pedestrians. To do some of those things. But these initial recommendations are really low-cost countermeasures. Within a couple of $2,000 or $3,000, we can implement all of these things on the two streets that are our highest priority. But here's an example of a problem. As you approach this particular area, and you probably can't see it from here, but there's actually a speed limit sign under that overhanging tree there. One of the principles of traffic control devices is that they should command attention. In this case, it does not command attention. Well, that's the sign that was under the tree, and even when we get to the sign, there's a problem here because look at how dirty the sign is. It does not convey a clear message. It does not command attention to the driver. Not only that, but in some areas, and again, this is the area if you come off of Kaiser onto Parkway Drive, there's a speed limit sign mounted with another sign there, and all those signs are way too low to command attention. And so those are some of the just simple things that we think need to be done. In conjunction with this, our task force has recognized the need for establishing a separate signing department. Now look, the guys that do the signs now are in Randy Lacaze's, under his direction. They do an excellent job with the signing. But, you know, sometimes there's just a lot that needs to be done, and they just kind of get overwhelmed because they do have other tasks. So, again, we realize budgetary-wise that there's an issue there, and we need to think about that. Some other recommendations that have come forth is to implement a lower speed limit in some of the neighborhoods, the residential neighborhoods. Again, the list of subdivisions is there. Now, to do that would require an ordinance by the city council. Right now, the ordinance that's on the books shows a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout all streets in the city. to do this in some of the local neighborhoods where you have short street segments, you have a higher incidence perhaps of folks walking in the street and perhaps even children playing and those kinds of things, may warrant us doing this. And so, again, we're going to do a little further study on this. We do want to get some public feedback. In fact, that's the next slide. We certainly want to solicit feedback from those neighborhoods, the ones that are going to be affected. Our council member participants on the task force have indicated that they would support the introduction of an ordinance for a lower speed limit in some of these areas. And so we're going to be asking the rest of the city council members to consider that as we get, but we do want to get feedback first from the folks that will be affected. Another thing that we really would like to do, we need a campaign slogan, okay? And these are some of the things that could be considered. You know, drive 25 to stay alive, or slow down Natchitoches, or I kind of like the one that was on the slide, the introductory slide to this presentation. Slow down. This is a neighborhood, not a racetrack. So, but we'd like to really get ideas from the public, from other council members, and from the public. And so if you have ideas on this, please send me your ideas. The mayor's office also, I guess I'll volunteer Mrs. Ziza for that, to receive any input that anybody has on that. And then our task force will kind of look at all the ideas that are presented, and we'll make a recommendation to the mayor of a slogan. Because what we'd like to do is to put this slogan on some signs and place them around town and just kind of make folks aware that, hey, you know, let's slow down, let's save some lives, and do all that. So with that, I do thank you for the opportunity to present, and I'll be glad to entertain any questions that the council members may have.
Nick, before any questions come, let me just publicly say thank you for chairing this task force. I think it's certainly needed. I sit out at the parklet when it's warm enough for me to do so. And that's one of the consistent issues that people bring up about high speed on residential streets. So I really appreciate your time and expertise. Also, two of our council members, Councilwoman at Large Smith and Councilman PT, for your dedication. And Mr. Jack Duty is here, and two not here, Ms. Dorothy McGaskey, who's school board member, and Captain Johnson, with our Natchitoches finest, right? Mm-hmm. So really, really appreciate your work, and I see the recommendations. I've got the presentation, and we'll work toward some of these initial recommendations. So I just wanted to kind of preface that by any questions we may have from the council. You know, I do, Nick, want you to speak just a little bit to, you mentioned the roundabout.
Yes, sir.
Being one of those traffic calming countermeasures, and
right.
We were able to get through capital outlay, the roundabout at Texas and Dixie,
right,
and there will maybe others as well. So kind of a
I know
different
DOTD
concept.
is looking at some in places involve the state routes around town, and yes, sir. Definitely, anything that requires a motorist to do something different, to make a turn, to do something like that, is a traffic calming countermeasure. So the Texas Street roundabout, we're looking forward to having a preliminary design on that, hopefully around June of this year, final design around the end of this year, and then hopefully be able to go into construction sometime next year. So, yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor Williams.
Ma'am? It takes a long time to do the design. I mean, the design work is being done by DOTD. That's saving the city over $100,000 on the design work. That way we can use all the state capital outlay money towards construction. And so they're trying to work that into their schedule. It is on a state route, so it does allow them to do that work, but it takes a little time. Even the process, if we were to go out and get a consultant, by the time we procure those services and get a design going, the time frame is going to be roughly the same. So it takes time to get. There's a topographical survey that has to be done, a preliminary design, all the geometric design that has to be done, preparation of right-of-way maps and those kinds of things. So It takes a while. Yes, sir.
Nick, excuse me. I noticed a lot of vinyl type material going down in a lot of places.
Yes, sir.
Cypress Street in particular, and Percy, is that curve working?
I've been out there a limited amount of time since those thermoplastic markings were placed last week. It seems that it is causing the traffic to kind of split there, which again, anything that you can do that requires traffic to make that movement,
Yep.
a dedicated movement like that, does seem to help on traffic calming.
Excited about that.
We do have one more other step to be done there, and that is the Public Works Department is going to be installing some tubular markers to supplement that, the 8-inch line.
To encourage the,
To keep folks in their lane, yes, sir. So I think especially when we get those in place, we'll be able to really evaluate the effectiveness of it then.
good.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments, Nick? Public comments or questions for Mr. Verrett? Nick, very briefly, I did ask you to give us a brief update relative to the Church Street Bridge.
Yes, sir.
So can you do that?
I'll do that. The DOTD, of course, is preparing plans for the Church Street Bridge replacement. We received a few weeks ago 60% preliminary plans, and well, I'll have to say this, DOTD is involving the city and soliciting our feedback every step of the way. So I'm very pleased with how that's going. I know there's lots of concerns about the effect on the historic district, on the business sector there, and so DOTD is involving us in that. We submitted our comments back on these 60% preliminary plans. The next step is going to be what they call a plan in hand meeting, which is basically the preliminary plans in hand that you go to the site, and that way there's a lot of details that come up as you're walking the site with the designers, and you can make comments at that point. And so we plan to be involved in that meeting. That should be sometime next month. And then it's back to the drawing board, and there's a whole lot of details that have to be ironed out and plans developed for all these details. The final plans are due about the end of May of next year, and that puts everything in line for a project letting of about July 2023. And that would be the receipt of bids. And again, that's a preliminary schedule. But that's what the DOTD has advised us of. Once the project is let, as a contractor in place, the first step, of course, will be constructing the temporary detour bridge. And then once the traffic is on the detour bridge, then the old bridge can be demolished and construction of the new bridge will begin. So I'm very encouraged. Progress that sounds really slow, but I think it's a pretty aggressive schedule, actually. And but again, I'm very pleased with the input and how they're soliciting our input in every step of the way. So.
I have one question in reference to the roundabout on Texas Street.
Okay.
I've been approached by several residents in that area. I know you mentioned just now getting the plans in for that area. Will residents in that area be notified and have an opportunity to I guess, see if any of their property is going to be taken up for the roundabout, and how will that be done?
Okay. What's going to happen there, once the preliminary design is done, then there will be preliminary right-of-way taking lines that will be established. And at that point, I think we as the city can approach the property owners and kind of give them an idea that this is what's coming. Now, the actual final right-of-way maps won't be completed until probably the end of this year, and then the right-of-way acquisition process will begin at that point, the formal process. But I think we'll have information probably around the end of June that will allow us to go meet with these property owners and give them an idea of the impacts to their properties.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Verrett. Really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the final date for the Church Street Bridge? Do you have a
Again, the project letting date would be July of 2023. Construction time, I think, is about 18 months, so around the end of calendar year 2024, and hopefully before the Christmas festival that year. Yes, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thanks, Nick. All right. Moving on to some ordinances up for final. Ordinance number 001, Councilwoman at Large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. This is up for final ordinance number 001 of 2022, which is an ordinance amending ordinance number 64 of 2001 by changing zoning classification of properties lots 2 and 3, Block M of S&P Edition, being 125 North Street and 821 West Street. This ordinance was introduced on January the 10th, 2022, and was also published in the Natchez Times on January 13th, 2022, and I move for adoption of ordinance number 001, 2022.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. I think we had an explanation at our meeting on the 10th. A gentleman here, would you raise your hand, sir? Yeah, he's the owner of this property, so I don't know if there's anything else stated. I think it was pretty much straight to the point, the way Ms. Rock explained it. But if there's anything you'd like to briefly say, you're welcome to at the podium.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, all right.
Well, I would like to hear from you. Tell us what you plan to do. Ms. Rock explained, but could you tell, I think she said
Vacation.
what, vacation home?
In that case, sir, we'll have you come to the microphone. Please state your first and last name, and you can respond to Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Again, thank you for your service. Airbnb is the new paradigm.
I'm sorry, state your first and last name.
Daniel Cook.
Okay.
Daniel Arnold Cook. And it'll be a vacation rental. It'll be for NSU families, parents, for the Christmas festival. It's an opportunity that people can come and stay and be close to the university and enjoy the city.
Is it
Right
like
now-
different rooms, sections?
Yes, ma'am,
One-
as the need is. Right now, it's just one room, and that's where we're going to start.
And I went by to get some pictures, but I guess I'm a pretty poor photographer, so we couldn't show them. But it's actually, just so you know, it's right there, not that far from university, really not that far from
1 block.
the university itself.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of two buildings, if you will, on one property. You got one on the north side, and that's why you see the West Street and 125 North locations. But
Correct, Mayor. That's correct.
okay.
Is it being occupied, is it being used for something at this time? I went by too and I couldn't tell, I didn't know.
Well, there are college students, as the mayor pointed out, there's 2 separate buildings.
Right.
And there are college students renting at the time.
They are, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cook. All right, any other questions, comments from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda, is for final as well, and it's ordinance number 002, Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Thank you, Mayor. Like, it's the planning and zoning final ordinance 002, the ordinance amending the ordinance number 64, 2001 by changing the zoning classification of the property described as following. Being the Exchange Bank branch line in the northwest corner of Lot 23 of West Boardmore subdivision, 203 Kaiser, and I move to adopt resolution number 002.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Ms. Calvin was here at the last meeting explaining this is going to be a restaurant, winged it literally. I think they've already been doing some serving folks even before they actually got the building, and certainly excited about them opening up. Chantrell, is there an indication as to when they're going to open? Is that known yet?
I think they said they're gonna try to open for the 1st of February. It just depends on if they can have everything completed inside the building first.
Okay. All right. They're not here tonight, council, but comments, questions? All right, any public comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote?
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries as well. Next item is 003, and this is Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Ordinance number 003 of 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 64 of 2001 by changing zoning classification of property described as follows. This property is located at 601 Kaiser Avenue, whereas the Planning Commission of the City of Natchez, State of Louisiana, has recommended at their meeting on January 4th, 2022, that the application of Kirk Swallow with Natchez Regional Hospital to rezone the property described above from B2 commercial to B2 commercial with special exception zoning for the operation of a 24-hour pharmacy and drive-through and walk-in access. And I so move that ordinance 003 be adopted.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Kirk Swallow, who's here tonight, was here a couple weeks ago, and I think he laid everything out pretty clearly, as does this ordinance does as well. 24-hour pharmacy. If I'm correct, I think Mr. Swallow said nowhere from Lafayette to Shreveport, is that right? Yes. All right, so this will be in that geographical area from Lafayette to Shreveport. Natchitoches would be the only one in that area, not including, of course, Lafayette and Shreveport, all right? So that is just amazing. And I just got to say, I'm really proud of the work that Kirk is doing over there at the hospital. From where and what the hospital was known as when I was a kid to what the image is now, it's just a total change, and we appreciate the work he's doing. Kirk is here. I don't know, Council, if you've got any questions or comments? Okay. Any public comments or questions? All right, again, really excited about this. Seeing that there are none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Keep up the great work, Kirk. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is an ordinance for introduction. It's ordinance number 006, excuse me, and that's Councilman Harrington.
Ordinance number 006 of 2022, which is an ordinance amending the 2021-2022 budget to reflect additional revenues and expenditures. These are concerning CLECO and our electric, and I don't know if you want to go into more detail or.
Well, I think Matt is better suited for this, being that it's his department. So Matt, will you share with us some details about
Going to
this
amend the
piece?
budget to show this year the expenditures are up for buying power from CLECO, but also at the same time, the revenues are up because we in turn sell that power back to our customers. So there just needed to be a budget amendment adjustment made to show those differences.
And this amount, Matt, will get us through the rest of the fiscal year, is that correct?
It should, yes.
Should get us
We
through.
should see the power prices start to taper off a little bit. They're extremely high right now. It's all driven by the price of natural gas. So we should see those start tapering off soon. So yes, this should get us through the rest of the year.
And what does that mean, at $8 million adjustment? Is that what we brought in? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, no, that $8 million is what we're going to add to the budget to purchase power for the rest of the year till May 31st. So in turn, the city will see an increased revenue because when we buy power at a higher price, we have to sell it at a higher price. So our expenditures and our revenues will be up, so it should offset.
Should offset it, okay.
And this, Matt, I think is related to some of the things we were seeing a few months ago when people were saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Little
just natural gas for the past 5 or 6 years has been extremely low. We're seeing that because of the demand for the winter storm that we had last year, and the price in general for natural gas is going up. At the same time, the federal government's scaling back the coal-driven power plants, so more power is created using natural gas right now. So then that drives the whole economy for fuel, for energy purchases up. So that's why we're seeing this increased cost.
So the bills will be increased, people's gas bills, is that what you're saying? We'll
Yeah,
have an
your
increase in
gas bills are up
gas
and electricity
and
also.
electricity. Is there a percentage that you can give me offhand about how much more?
The last I talked to CLECO, they said early this year, so we're probably March, we may see the prices start lowering back to their normal, what we see normally. And as far as the percentage,
Like
I don't know, we're up.
dollar-wise?
Our PCA is what we sell power for. Last month it was 11.68 cents. Normally, we're around 9.5 or 10. So we're up about 2 cents per kWh, which is what, about 20%?
All right, any other questions, comments? Any public comments or questions about this item being introduced tonight? Okay, again, it's just been introduced, so we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is another piece for introduction. It's ordinance number 007. Councilman P.T.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Ordinance number 007 of 2022, an ordinance declaring certain buildings unsafe and recommending that same be demolished or put into repair to comply with the building code, authorizing notice to be served, fixing hearing date, and appointing curator to represent absentees. Whereas the city building inspector and the director of planning and zoning have filed written reports with the city council declaring that the buildings listed below are in dangerous and unsanitary condition, which makes them unsafe and endangering the public welfare, and recommending that said buildings be demolished or put in repair to comply. First property is owned by Jafar Al-Sharab. It's located at 918 Bayou Jacko Street. Anthony Katniss, property located at 1016 Collins Street. Emily Brooks, property located at 225 Gibson Street. LA Property Acquisition Management, this property is located at 232 Julia Street. Molly Easley, property located at 1401 Grayson Street. Perlene Hoover, property located at 928 Short 7th Street. David Dixon, property located at 1428 Sawyer Street. Frank Manusa, property located at 1530 Westcourt Drive. Rufus Moses, property located at 402 Rowena Street. And Mildred Leach, property located at 517 Lafayette Street.
All right, thank you, Councilman P.T. And this is Steve showing us some pictures. This is was this the Gibson Street one, Steve?
Gibson.
225 Gibson here.
Steve,
Okay.
can you go all the way back to the beginning?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I don't have any of this on my screen, none of it. So, can you go back, like she said, to the beginning, please, and go through each
Go
one?
back out to your folders. Your first folder should have been the 918 Bayou Jacko. First folder is 918 Bayou Jacko.
And I think he has 3 pictures on these.
Is that the trailer?
It is a trailer.
Now moving to 1016 Collins Street.
Now, this house, as you can see, it was already boarded up years ago. So after so much time, we allow for the homeowners to go back in and revisit. But because of a storm, a tree has fallen on the top of that, so now it's beyond repair. So no amount of boarding up could cause, or, you know, it'll be more expensive to try to repair that.
We've already seen 225. Y'all want to look at, did y'all get to see 225 Gibson? Yeah, show them 225 Gibson again, Steve.
That's a burned house, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, I think we pretty much get the point with this one, right?
Yeah.
And then your next one is going to
If I
be,
could say something, Mayor,
Oh.
that house there on Gibson,
Yes, sir.
they had some contractors there, and I think they just finished that house up where they demoed and cleaned it out.
So they did it without a permit.
so you're saying it doesn't look like that anymore?
They done cleaned the shop. I was glad to see them out. I say they getting with it. No permit? Oh,
No
wow.
permit. That's why it's on my screen.
But yeah, they was out there Saturday.
232
They did
Julius.
it Saturday.
Okay, moving
Y'all
on.
should have stopped them and asked them if they had a permit.
Hey, show us Julia a little bigger. Again, a lot of times these pictures just kind of speak for themselves.
Yes. When it looks
Like
like
it
that,
missing
you
the whole
can't
back of
fix
the
it
house.
up. It's
Yeah.
better to demolish it.
Your next one is 1401 Grayson.
Another 10.
And you have the agenda right there, don't you, Steve?
Yeah, they do. Is that the 1401 Grace?
Mm-hmm.
Now, just by looking at it from the street, you couldn't tell that the whole floor is gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the front.
see it right there?
Steve, you going too fast?
What's that?
He was moving too fast.
Your next one, Steve, you see it, 928? We don't have 928.
Short 7th.
Oh, short 7, okay, there you go, yeah, short 7.
Now, this particular house, if you can see that yellow there's a yellow cord that's laying on the ground.
Go
What they
back,
were
Steve.
doing at this structure, they were actually connecting to the house beside it, stealing
And
electricity and
electricity.
living inside the home.
Oh, you see right there on the ground?
Stealing electricity, okay. And where's that at again?
Short 7.
928 Short 7.
Yeah.
So there's a house that's next door to it, and you can see the power cord right there again. But they were connecting power to the house next door,
And they were living in it like that?
and they were living in it like that.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
The next one will be the 1428.
1428, Sawyer.
And these people wonder why they have high utility bills.
Now, on this particular one, this is the best picture I can get to show what's actually there, because that's the front side, but this is the back side. The tree is totally demolished, the entire trailer. All we have is just the front portion of it. And it's been like that since, oh goodness. Our
The
first
storm?
storm, our first real storm.
1, 2, 3. West Court is the next one.
So we have 1538 West Court. Stop for, just to go one more picture. If you, from this view, the whole front of that house, there's holes on the top of that house. But again, someone was living there. The first picture that was shown, you can see where a pot was on the back. They've been cooking there, they're residing there without utilities.
And so the homeowners have been notified?
They have
Property
been.
owners, I mean.
They have been.
It's Rowena, 402 Rowena Street.
If you just looked at the front of that house, you would think that the house was standing in
That's
good
how I
shape.
say, yeah, it look good.
Too bad.
But then when you look further in and go behind the house, and on the side of the house, and inside, you can see the damage that's done. Let's back to the other picture.
No, wow.
And then there's just one more, Steve. The last one being 517 Lafayette.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, I saw that one some months ago. That one's really bad, really bad.
It's leaning, the roof is gone,
Mm-hmm. It's a danger.
the foundation is gone. The neighbor called because she was afraid during our last storm that the wind would actually take this one and destroy her house.
I don't think there's anybody here tonight to speak on any of these properties.
No,
Doesn't
we
seem
just
so.
had one that was here, 918 Jacko was the only owner that actually called and talked with me to explain what they wanted to do, how they acquired the property, and they actually asked questions on our process of how we go about condemning and requesting that property is condemned and demolished.
Okay. Any public questions or comments? Counselor, I think we asked you already. Did you have any comments or questions?
Only do, this brings up the summer tree apartments on Second Street. Is there an update on those?
There was a call today that we were on, Alex, myself, and Chantrell. Alex, you wanna?
Yeah, we spoke to Mr. Is it Threet?
Yeah, James 3.
James Threet, who appeared before the council, I think, about a month ago. And he's anticipating some positive information within the next couple of weeks. In fact, I think he's going to call us tomorrow if one of the financial institutions that he inquired, give him the loan in one area. And then he had one other loan to buy out the general partner, I believe. And he said probably within the next 2 weeks to give us a update, but I think this week he may give us a timeline for us to be able to present to the council.
Now, he said that last
I was about
time,
to
two weeks. He said
it's
2 weeks.
It wasn't
It's
done.
been
He was
over
signing it
2
over.
weeks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give him 2 weeks, and then we're gonna ask Ms. Chantrell Rock to put it on the board for demolition.
I'm with
Okay.
that.
I
Yeah.
am too.
And when we spoke to him today, we let him know
2 weeks.
that the council and administration, they gave them enough time to move forward, and we was actually pressing him to move forward. Otherwise, we had to go a different route. In fact, we asked him to make some quick improvements to the facility, like soon, so the council can see it.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I would like to see it on the agenda at
Next
the next
meeting.
meeting. They
Okay.
had plenty of
Plenty
time.
of time.
So either he's gonna produce something, or at the end of the 2 weeks, we should put it on the condemnation to force them. It's the only avenue we have, but we're not getting anything out of these developers. And you're getting the same song and dance that we got back in.
5 years ago, or?
Yeah. So it's time to turn the heat up and put it on them. They're either gonna do it, or they're gonna clean it up. It's a very unsafe property.
It really is.
And that is exactly
And
what
they're not concerned about that. Their world is finance and that kind of thing. It's in Natchitoches. It's for us to do the right thing for the community, and I think we should put it on the next meeting.
I felt like it was gonna be a great place, in the beginning, I really did. I was looking forward to having those buildings over there, but it's really bad, it's sad, the way it's looking now. So they have 2 weeks to decide what they're gonna do, 2 weeks, and we're gonna put it back on the agenda.
Yeah, well, I mean, y'all sound like us. I mean, we're not publicly.
I mean, Chantrell was there, we expressed all that. I mean, we didn't take the timeframe you're saying now,
Right.
but,
He likes 2 weeks, so he should be able to work within that.
Because he did, last meeting, he said in
Said
2
2
weeks, if
2
he
weeks.
doesn't get it, he will sign it over to the city. And that was a month ago.
yes,
Yeah.
that's about a
And
month.
now he's
Over
asking for
2
2 more weeks.
2 more
And they
weeks.
asked for years before and years, and
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all on the same page.
I think we, I don't think we.
well, let's give him a,
don't
let's
think
give him
there's
a
a lot of
definite
separation there.
deadline, and then it's Chantrell's time to.
Now, I will say,
Do her
Chantrell and I
magic.
talked about another time frame, not too far off from what y'all saying tonight, but
Shorter.
a little bit, just a little bit longer.
I still have to do.
Just
the
a little bit
noticing
longer.
process.
And council, if I
But-
can add, you know, we want to go ahead and take the, you know, do our due diligence and take all the necessary steps so we have the, you know, proper information before the court. So that was, we saying 2 weeks, but I wanted to get our guys out, take pictures,
Yeah,
and move forward.
There's certain procedures we have to.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So that's why
start
we,
I don't want to lock us
rolling.
into it to
We
make
have
it
to
a
give so
record.
much notice
Yeah.
to them, et cetera.
right, there you go, so,
Okay, well, we
Yeah.
can
So
start
that's
out
why-
all rolling, like you
Yeah.
say. Okay.
So, yeah.
okay. Can we get you?
My name is Wayne Holm, 419 Whitfield Drive. Back to this ordinance for demolishing. I mean, if you can help me with my ignorance, if you pass this ordinance and nothing happens, what happens then? Do the city demolish it at city expense, or what happens?
Yep, put a lien.
City's expense, lien on the property.
Well, we end up, come on, Chantrell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If they do not follow the proper procedures or they fail to bring the structures back into compliance, then either the city will step in using our Public Works Department and have the structures brought down, or we'll contract the job out. But we will bring it down. Well, I don't see us using any more funds to try to repair it, because at this point, it needs to go.
Very good. So you take down the structure, but they still own the property?
No.
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 If we step in and we have to do the work, then a lien will be placed on the property, and then the property will be adjudicated to the city. It becomes city asset.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. I had not a clue what happens next.
And are they assessed with the bill, these property owners? Normally, do you send them a bill for what the city does?
Right, so that's
Right.
how it becomes adjudicated, for them not paying the bill.
Right.
We'll place
Okay.
the bill amount on their tax roll. And if they don't pay it, it's then adjudicated.
I just wanted that understood. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Ms. Rock. Moving on, again, that's just introduction. Moving on to resolutions, resolution number 005, Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 005 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 6 to the contract between the City of Natchitoches and Regional Construction LLC for Phase 3 Street Rehabilitation, bid number 0629. And whereas the City of Natchitoches awarded the bid to Regional Construction on October 12, 2020 by ordinance number 52 of 2020 in the amount of $499,719.25 for Phase 3 street rehabilitation. And whereas on October 12, 2020, the city approved change order number 1 in the amount, I don't know if I need to read every one of these, get down
Please do.
to, I'll read the one right before it, April 26, 2022, change order number 5, decreased the amount by $584.15, making the revised contract total $703,952.40. And whereas on January 5, 2022, The project engineer issued change order number 6, fully described in Exhibit A, and whereas the contract sum will be increased by change order number 6 in the amount of $4,537.50, and the revised contract will be $708,489.90. And this is, I move to adopt resolution number 5 of 2022.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Nick, are there any questions, council, comments, questions?
I read it, but Nick's a lot better at explaining it.
Okay. I think, did you want to share your presentation or no?
We can look at the photos that I put together. Basically, what we have on several of the streets that were newly paved is what's called desiccation cracking. It's not cracking related to any deficiency in the contractor's work or the materials. Basically, what we have is a situation where, given the types of soils that are under some of these streets, given the extended period of dry conditions that we had toward the end of calendar year 2021, and then also in some cases, such as on Pavy Street, the presence of some overhanging hardwood trees, the combination of all that has caused the cracking that you see there. So this is on Pavy Street. This is actually worse than anything out on Monroe Drive or on those streets associated there. If you go to the next slide, just a close up, and this is this kind of a pin laid across that crack. It's a pretty wide crack, and I think the culprit is the next slide. Is this overhanging tree, and you can't see the other part of the overhang here, but it's a combination. You have the dry weather conditions already. You have subgrade soils that are conducive to cracking when they dry. And then when you have the presence of these trees, basically the canopy of the tree is really the extent also of the root system underneath the ground. And so you already have dry conditions. The roots of the trees pull any other moisture that's there, and it causes these cracks like this. So what we're going to do, what I'm proposing to do, is to seal the cracks. I took these last two photos on a state route that's over in the Clarence area. Our work will look kind of like this, except for right here, what they've done is they've overbanded. If the crack width was kind of like this, they actually overlapped the seal on each side. We're not going to do that, and it's really not working very effectively on their project. So we're going to just seal in the crack so it won't look as bad as this even. So we need to seal the cracks in order to keep the moisture from getting into the base and causing further deterioration of the base. If we'll seal the cracks, we may have to wind up coming back in another year or two and sealing some more. If it cracks again, maybe next fall, but if we have extended dry periods. But bottom line, if we seal the cracks, it may not look great, but it'll actually function very well and preserve the roadway that's been constructed. So we're recommending this change order on the order of a little less than $5,000 we got a very good price proposal from Regional Construction to do that crack seal, and so I'm recommending that we do that.
Questions or comments, council?
I do. You put up there that it's Pavy has the crack also, but on here it just have Monroe Drive, Johnson Lane. Is Pavy Street going to be one of them?
Pavy is one of them, and in fact, I think what happened here, I'm looking at my copy of the revised change order, and I think somehow what got put in your packet was the change order before it was revised. So I apologize for that. But yes, Pavy Street is included in the revised version of the change order.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Okay.
The tree is there, and the problem is the tree is outside the right-of-way that the city has. There's not really much you can do about it. It's just, it's an issue. Desiccation cracking is an issue on a lot of the state routes that you'll see also. And again, that's, a lot of it is especially where you have narrow rights of way and you have trees in proximity to the roadway. But, there's
Since
some,
I'm sorry. Since it's just the pavement, could Public Works do that? Since it's just the, what, it's
No,
a
ma'am.
particular machine you have to use?
There is specialized equipment that has to be used. Basically, the material that's going to be placed in here is hot poured, but it begins as a block of rubberized asphalt material that is placed into a heating unit. And then from the heating unit, it flows into a nozzle that actually kind of puts the material into the cracks. Public Works does not have that equipment.
Okay. So would this be the last change orders that we might be seeing for these roads?
I don't anticipate any more because I think we finished all the other work, so.
Okay, so when will the other roads be able to get fixed that we talked about from last meeting? Would this affect the other roads that we have on the list to get fixed?
As far as the phase one for the fiscal year 2021-22,
Yes.
this won't affect it in any way.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other public comments or questions?
And I just wanted, this is what, change order number 6?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think the first one started 2020.
Ma'am?
I'm just looking through here. October 12th, 2020 was the first change order, number 1.
Yes, ma'am. The
January
project
11th,
began toward the end of
number
2020.
2.
And this sealant, Nick, is, the road is just gonna be, it's gonna be fine.
The
in long
road's
haul.
going to function fine. You'll see this, the little ribbons of the seal. But it, by doing the sealing, it's going to preserve the road. If we don't do anything, the road will deteriorate. And and again, it's not the contractor's fault, not any workmanship issue, not any material issue. It's just, it's a environmental issue is basically what it is.
Okay, council? All right,
So one more question. Will the tree have to be taken up or what? I mean, I don't know, so I'm asking, so we don't keep having
Well, unfortunately, I mean,
cracks.
where you have narrow rights of way and you have, this tree is a very tall tree. It really, the photo doesn't do it justice. It's a very tall tree and therefore the canopy is very expansive. One of the things that I've done in the next phase, the projects that hopefully you'll authorize advertising for bids in the next agenda item, but one of the things I've tried to do is to target some areas where we may have the potential for desiccation cracking, and we're using a different kind of base course there. So try to be proactive in not having that problem on the next project.
Okay, and what street did you say that was on with that?
That was on Pavy Street where the crack was there.
any other questions? All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 006, Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm fine. Resolution number 006 of 2022 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for 2021 to 2022 Phase 1 street rehabilitation. Whereas the city wishes to advertise for bids for Phase 1 street rehabilitation, bid number 0641. And whereas sealed proposals shall be addressed to the city of Natchez, 1400 Sabine Street. Whereas the city of Natchez will accept sealed and electronic bids for the project until 2 p.m. on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, at the office of the Director of Purchasing, located at 1400 Sabine Street. Whereas upon receipt of proposals, the Committee of Sonia McClellan, Controller, Ed Lee, Director of Purchasing, Betty Smith, Councilwoman at Large, and Donald Forrest, Public Works Director, are to review and make a recommendation of the bids received. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Natchez that the Honorable Mayor Ronnie Williams Jr. be and is hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to order the publication of the above bid. And I move that resolution number 006 of 2022 be adopted.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Just to kind of share, pictures are a little blurry, but that top left is Amulet, that section. So again, this is a certain section that, I think from Hedges to Payne of Amulet. So this is one thing you see there. That top right is, what are you?
Mayfield?
Yeah, that's Mayfield, that's right. It's Mayfield. No, I think that's actually Simmons Alley. Yeah, that's actually Simmons Alley. I think you could see a little bit of what's going on there. Now, undoubtedly, we've got streets all across the city, you know, but when you got a limited amount of funds, you have to address them, you know, when you can. Bottom left is Sadia Street. It's the unpaved one, and I think we've agreed to ask for a priority to that street. And then the bottom right is Breed Avenue. I don't have St. Clair. I think the picture wasn't that good on that one. But from Williams to East Fifth, there is what you call that alligator cracking, which shows base failure. And then I don't have Peninsula Drive, but I know Chief Collins can tell us how bad that one is. So I didn't ride out there to take a picture, but that one certainly has some problems and issues. Like I said, we got them all over, but we wanted to start with these, and I really appreciate Nick's process of a kind of a capital plan, if you will, to address the streets in a way that kind of makes sense based on that tier system he developed. So yeah. But any comments or questions, Council?
So, Mayor, you said that Sadia's going to be taken off?
No. Sadia is the bottom left.
Oh, okay.
Just ask for priority to that one.
Oh, okay.
Just want to compliment Nick on his plan, and I love this approach where it's the roads are speaking out for help. So,
I think that'll really help with some of that traffic right there at the bridge, once that road is completed. Like all the people coming from Lakeview Apartments and make a big
Con
difference right
Ag
there at the light.
yeah, it gives us a second way out, and should help with the bridge traffic tremendously.
Okay.
I have a quick question, Nick. So in Oak Grove, does Hicks roads come in the city limit or out the city limit? How far would you be fixing from that area? Because when it's a road from Oak Grove comes like halfway into the city limit, where it start from right there and then push back? Or
No.
just right there in that one little section from
Yeah.
206 and 205?
Actually, Hicks Road is in the parish system, not the city system. The city system picks up at that four-way intersection there where Peninsula starts. And I don't know how that came about, but the first little section of Peninsula was overlaid a few years ago. Then there was a little short section that was skipped, and then the last part of Peninsula was overlaid. It's the little skipped section, which is about a 300-foot section. That's what we're going to address in this project here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Also, the bids are going to be opened Wednesday, the 23rd. Do you know how soon, once the bids, I know you have to, once the bids are open and everything, how soon will the work on Sade and the other streets begin?
It usually takes about 30 days
That's a
to
good question.
do the bid review and award of contract, and then get a contract signed and get everything lined up. Because normally, especially like Sadia Street, there's a lot of catch basins and pipes that the contractor will have to acquire. So it'll take a little time to fabricate some of those catch basins and things like that once the contract is signed. So I'm going to say about 30 days before the project starts. And as far as the specific work on Sadia, there may be some of that won't start within 30 days, but they can begin the work, some of the work on the street work and some of the pipe work and things like that.
That's
But
great.
there are some of the materials that they have to have some time to assemble the materials for the work.
Okay, that's good timing. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. All right. No other public questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Moving on to the next resolution or next item on the agenda. It's Resolution 007. Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Resolution number 007 of 2022. Resolution authorizing the mayor to advertise and accept the bids for the Christmas lights supply. Whereas the sealed proposal shall be addressed to the city of Natchez of the Director of Processing P.O. Box 37 of Natchez, Louisiana, 71458, receiving at the city of Natchez Processing Department of 400 Sabine Street. And whereas the bid will be public open and read aloud at 2 p.m. on Monday, February the 28th of 2022, held at the above-mentioned office at the Direct Processing. And whereas upon receipt proposal, the committee members consisting of Sadie McCullough, Control, Finance Director Ed Lee, Director of Processing Matt Anderson, Utility Director, and Dale Nelson, Councilman, and the review make a recommendation of the bids received. Now therefore be resolved by the City of Natchez in legal session convened that the Honorable Mayor Ronnie Williams Jr. be hereby authorized and power to direct to order to publicate the above bids. And I move to adopt resolution numbers 007 of 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt this resolution. I guess this is our routine replacing of lights. We put on the best Christmas show throughout the season, better than anybody. So these are just the things we have to do. I don't know, Matt or Ed, anything else you want to say about this?
Yeah, like you said, Mayor, this is our routine Christmas light order. Every year after we hang the lights, get all the repairs made, we take an inventory of our bulbs and streamers and other supplies, and we make an order now for next year because it takes so long to get in.
Okay. Questions or comments, council? Any public comments? All right, thanks for the explanation. Seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped out there a little early. Motion carries. All right. Next, we're going to ask the council, one member of the council to motion to amend the agenda and add resolution number 0. Well, we need to amend what the resolution stated, so can we get a council member to do that?
What resolution were you talking about?
008
I don't.
of 2022.
Yeah, it doesn't say it here, but we originally had Councilman Nielsen, and now we're asking for an amendment to insert Ms. Chanterelle Rock.
I so move, Mayor, that we change the resolution to include Chanterelle Rock for the signing of checks, is that correct?
Mhm.
And we're removing Dale Nielsen,
Right.
and that Dale Nielsen be removed, and Chanterelle Rock be added for the purpose of signing checks in the absence of the finance director.
Yes. So the motion would be that we will amend the agenda and the resolution to include.
Right, and the agenda and the resolution to add Chanterelle Rock for the signing of checks, removing Dale Nielsen.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. Okay, any questions about the motion to amend the agenda?
Then we'll explain why, because it had to be a,
Yeah, based on the Code of Ordinances, it had to be an employee and the mayor as a signatory for the checks. Mr. Nielsen gladly accepted the role.
And I appreciate that. No, I really appreciated that.
We had to change it to an employee and the mayor. So we appreciate it, but we need to amend the agenda to reflect.
And we have to have 2 signatures
Right.
on the
Yeah.
check.
Yep.
That's why I did not,
Yep.
accept to sign, because I knew I couldn't do it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All righty. Roll call vote, if there are no public questions or comments. All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Not sure, but abstain.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
yes?
PT.
Yes.
Okay, that's good? We got it?
That's good.
All right. That motion carries. All right, moving on to the actual resolution. Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Resolution number 008 of 2022, a resolution authorizing Chantrell Rock to sign checks in the absence of a finance director, said resolution, and authorization made in accordance with Article 2 through 3 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Natchez, Louisiana. I so move that resolution number 008 be adopted.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Any additional questions or concerns, council? Any public questions or comments? All right, and thank you, Ms. Rock. Seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Abstain.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is Resolution 009. Councilman Harrington.
Resolution 009 of 2022, a resolution approving the assignment and assumption agreement of that lease of Lot 1 of the Natchez Regional Airport from Foshee Dusting Company Incorporated to Norwest Incorporated, including the authorization of the mayor to execute that instrument, caption assignment and assumption agreement, and further authorizing an amendment to the lease in favor of Foshee Dusting Corporation to correct an error in dates. I move to adopt Resolution 9 of 2022, and let Ed go into more detail.
Foshee Dustin is selling their building and their operations to Norwest. And as a result, the building, everything is on this lot. So they're just changing the name on the lot, transferring the lease to Norwest.
Okay, we have some folks, but I know Ed just pretty much explained it, so you all are good with saying anything? Okay, all right. Before we vote, if you allow me, counsel, I have Mr. Mark Milligan here. He's not speaking on the resolution before us, but he wants to say something else, and so I wanted him to come at this time.
I, Mark Milliken, oppose the ordinances 3, 4, and 5 that were introduced at the City Council meeting January 10th, 2022, for the sale and execution of lease for the city hangar located at Lot 3, 506 Airport Road, Natchez Regional Airport, to Chappaqua Development LLC.
And this was what we introduced 2 weeks ago.
Yes, the 10th of January.
Right.
Why? I want to bid on that. I'd like to bid on that hangar.
You want to explain?
Yeah,
Ed?
I've already spoken to Julie and told her that we were removing it from the agenda, and it will go out as a sealed RFP. And the high bidder gets the hangar, and they will be required to sign a lease on the land that's associated with that hangar.
Excellent.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so Ed, just real quick, the one we're voting on, I'm sorry, just explain that one more time.
The one you're getting ready to vote on now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not related to what Mark just talked about.
Right.
It's a completely separate place, but Foshee Dusting is selling their hangar to Norwest. And as a result, this is for the lease of the land, which will transfer the lease to Norwest.
Okay. So, again, not to be confused. All right, any comments, questions about Norwest that we're about to vote on now? All right. Seeing none, well, should we wait, Alex? Councilwoman at large stepped out, or?
I think we're good.
We can go on? Okay. All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Council wanna wait on it.
What's that?
We
Do y'all
can
wanna
vote
wait?
without her. We have a majority.
We could see if it's, if it's 2 noes and 2 yeses, and we'll see what she
Then we'll
says.
have to wait for it.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Duakar-Smith,
Just-
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All righty, okay, that motion carries. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is resolution number 110, and that's Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 10 of 2022 is a resolution of support for the River South Commons Shopping Center on South Drive in the city of Natchez. Excuse me, whereas the owners of River South Commons Shopping Center located on South Drive have made several requests of the city, which include a creation of an economic development district around the shopping center located on South Drive. And whereas the River South Commons Shopping Center was originally developed in 1977 for the original Walmart store and remained as a vibrant shopping center until 2012, 2015, when several large national tenants closed their Natchitoches locations. And whereas there has been almost 80,000 square feet of leased space vacant since that time, and whereas the owners of River South Commons Shopping Center have an opportunity to lease that vacant space to several large national tenants that will cause the shopping center to be at full occupancy, and whereas the mayor requests that for the city to create an incentive package to aid with the development of this vacant space, as well as allow the developers to completely renovate the entire shopping center, including parking lot, lighting and signage, and whereas the administration is supportive of economic development throughout the community and is strongly considering a request from the council in future legislation that an economic development district be created that will enable placing an additional sales tax for all sales within the shopping center that will create the incentives that the city of Natchitoches will rebate to the owners of the shopping center with no cost to the city. And whereas the new tenants have provided tentative information that the redevelopment of River South Commons Shopping Center will create significant employment, approximately 70 new jobs, projected sales tax revenue of approximately $1 million annually, and significant utility revenue to the city of Natchez. Now therefore be it resolved that the Natchez City Council in legal session convened does hereby authorize the mayor to support the initial creation of an economic development district around the River South Commons Shopping Center to enable the redevelopment of the shopping center and create an economic benefit to the city of Natchez, and that Honorable Ronnie Williams Jr., Mayor, be and is hereby authorized and empowered to support this valuable project in a form of letters and communication, including but not limited to potential tenants and financial institution, with all final legislation to create the economic development district being subject to council approval. And I move that we adopt resolution number 10 of 2022.
I'll second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Jeff Thomas, is there anything you would like to say about? Okay.
I'm Jeff Thomas. This is Mike Basada. He's an attorney from Shreveport who specializes in legal work associated with the economic development districts. I believe he has also done some work down here on other projects. I represent the ownership group that owns River South Commons. We've owned the shopping center since the early 2000s. The total shopping center is 140,000 feet. The vacant space that we have, and you really can't tell it from just driving by, but there's 74,000 square feet, primarily in the old stage building and the Steele building. We have, I'm not at liberty to tell you who they are, but we have entered into letters of intent with 3 national tenants. And the next stage is we're actually in the process of exchanging lease agreements, which is being done by lawyers smarter than I am, because these lease agreements are 50 pages thick and more. If I was privy to what stage sales were out of their store, which was 37,000 feet, and it's pretty substantial. And I know what the sales tax rate is for the city of Natchez. It's 5.5%. But our research on these companies that are coming in and the sales they can generate from this space is substantial. Right now, there's no sales tax coming out of either of those buildings. There's very little utilities other than to keep some, low lights on. I know what Stage used to pay in their utility bills. There's no inventory tax being paid to the city or the parish in connection with the inventory that people have. So I grew up here, and so I know everything moved down on Kaiser Avenue and used to be South Drive. There's been some improvements on South Drive, remodeling of the Schultz store and El Nepal and Tractor Supply. So we think with this economic development district, we can, finalize these leases with the tenants. It's expensive to get these guys in. Retail landscape has changed. It's not like it was when we were growing up. I mean, they negotiate hard and demand a lot, but I think it'll go from being a B to C shopping center to a Class A shopping center if we can pull it off. So, any questions?
Can I twist your arm to tell us the 3, the other 2?
What's that?
I said, I'm just joking. I said, Jeff, can I twist your arm to tell us the 3 that's coming? That's okay. You can get
The tenants would be one
I
tenant.
know you can't do it.
One tenant would take all of Steele's, and Stage would have to have a demising wall put in, be $15,500 on one side, and $22,000 on the other side. It would probably involve redoing the facade to match their storefront.
Their store, okay.
So that would kind of change the look of the shopping center some.
I know right now this is just a resolution in support, so it doesn't have all the details yet, but do we know what percentage you're asking, and do we know for what time frame?
Hello, Mike Busada. What the developers have asked for is basically no money from the city. So typically when you have economic development districts, there's 3 different kinds. There's one that is a direct incentive from the city, money that would come from the city coffers. The other is just asking the city to facilitate through the use of an economic development district. And then the third is a hybrid. This one is just a facilitation. And so what they would do is they would ask for a percentage, probably around 1%, but that would be strictly charged in their shopping center. So basically, they're asking to levy that just on their shopping center. That money would then be reimbursed over time for qualified expenditures. And one of the things that would be put in place to make sure that if you approve this, that actually comes to fruition is they would not be eligible to receive a single penny until they come back and show, one, that their financing is in order. So that's the most critical piece, that they actually do have the financing. This will help them with that with the financial institutions. And then number two, they have to open the facilities. And so they actually have to deliver on the project. And what that allows for, not only do you actually have the successful redevelopment, but you also now have the ability to utilize the bank that it's going to be going over and doing the due diligence, because the bank is not going to grant a loan, even with this economic development district incentive, if they don't think that there's going to be enough sales and revenues in order to pay back that loan. And so it gives you that additional security. So the procedure would typically be, if it's at the mayor and the council's pleasure, that the district would be created. There would be certain caveats that would be put in place that would make sure, that would hold them responsible. That tax would be levied, and then there would be a cooperative endeavor agreement that would be entered into between the economic development district and the developers, again, with all the restrictions, the caveats, what the money can be used for, and what they have to present to the council.
But that's what, are we talking about a 10-year? I mean, what are we looking at?
It would be limited, and that's something that we're still waiting to get the number, to refine that number with the developers. And so once we get that, but there would be a cap on it. And if for any reason that you needed to, that they were able to generate the revenues they needed before that, it could expire at that time, so.
And is this on only the new businesses? Can you even take the ones pre-existing out of it, or is it just the entire piece of property?
It would be the entire piece of property as was proposed
That's
now.
what I figured, yeah.
And there would be some different, out parcels, that they think would possibly be developed too as a result of the new activity in the shopping center. So that's one of the big things too, is to hope that not only does it directly revitalize this shopping center, but also that has a spill-off effect to the out parcels and to the surrounding area.
And does that also include Chef Walk and Trail Balls? Are they?
The shopping center does not include trail balls. And if you come back north, there's a payday loan, a cash cow right there. There's what used to be the electronics store that's further, that's not ours.
Okay.
And then Chef Watt is on the other side, and that's not ours.
Okay.
It just steals and
Thanks for
stage, I
clarifying that.
believe, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Next question, you said approximately 70 jobs, would that be, I don't know who would answer this question, would that be the 3 proposed businesses or just
That's the permanent jobs created
for all 3?
by all 3
Okay.
stores. And it's my understanding that structures are, each store will have like a manager, then an assistant manager, and then they have some supervisors. They bring in managers from other stores to train here until this store or stores get off the ground. And then those managers go back to wherever they were. They said it takes about 6 weeks to train local people to take over.
I'd want to say this is similar to what we did with Hobby Lobby to get them up and going. And this is, to me, even better because this is local. It's local owners and businessmen. So I just wanted to make sure it had a term limit, much like Hobby Lobbies. That's all I was concerned about. And that I wasn't sure if it would affect Trail Boss. I'm glad it doesn't, and Chef Walk. So, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
And Mayor, before we call it to a vote, we've done several of these drafts, and I see one word in here that I pulled out. In our packet, the the change is in the packet, but somehow it's not changed on the screen that you're looking at. So it was one word, one phrase that I wanted taken out, one paragraph. I heard Mr. Nielsen reading it, and he mentioned the word rebate. We actually pulled that word out. So I just want to read that paragraph again, so we know what that small change is, so we have the proper resolution. Just one few words, but I want to take them out.
So does he need to make a motion or move it? Or was that not the one actually submitted?
Because he read everything, but I saw two words that I pulled out.
Yeah.
That was on his screen, but in the written packet, it's the correct one.
Which
So,
paragraph?
so it's correct in the printed version?
Yeah, it's correct.
But some kind of way it didn't
Somehow on
get
this, yeah.
edited in.
I'll amend my motion to include the two words.
In the written packet.
Rebates, one of them, what's the other one?
Well,
To
it's
not include, right?
I want to pull out, I just read the paragraph. The administration is supportive of economic development throughout the community and is strongly considering a request from the council in future legislation that an economic development district be created that will enable placing an additional sales tax for all sales within the shopping center that will create the incentive to the owners of the shopping center with no cost to the city. So I put out the words. What came out was, City of Natchez will rebate, is what I pulled out.
Which
Okay.
paragraph is that?
That is
Last
Two.
one, two,
Second one.
4, 5.
I think it's like the
Paragraph 6.
sixth paragraph.
Yeah, paragraph 6.
So you want to make a amendment to amend paragraph 6 to remove City of Natchez will rebate?
Do we have to actually amend it, though? Because it's actually printed right.
Just to be
He
safe.
just
Yeah, but I
said
read
we
it.
don't have it. He
Let's
read it.
just amend
I
it.
make a motion to amend paragraph 6 to include,
To remove.
Can
To
you have your
remove.
paper so he can read that? What he-
Yeah, yeah.
That'd probably be best for him to have it.
okay, hold my thought.
Because I don't have a paper.
It's paragraph 6, so.
Let me just read paragraph 6. Whereas the administration is supportive of economic development throughout the community and is strongly considering future legislation that an economic development district be created that will enable placing an additional sales tax for all sales within the shopping center that will create the incentives for the owners of the shopping center with no cost to the city.
Right.
Move to adopt resolution number 11.
That's second 10.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. We've asked questions, had comments, I think. All right. Roll call vote.
Eli. Eli.
Yes.
Nielsen.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Last item on the agenda is resolution number 11 of 2022, and that is Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 11 of 2022 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America for the public official schedule bond for the city of Natchez. And whereas the proposals submitted for the public officials bond for the city of Natchez have been reviewed, and it is recommended the city award the contract to Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America for the period February 1, 2022 through February 1, 2023 for the bond premium of $5,250. And I move for adoption of resolution number 11 of 2022.
I second.
Okay. Ed, you want to give a little explanation?
Yeah, this is a public official bond that we renew every year, and it covers the mayor, the finance director, and the assistant finance director. Just insurance to make sure if they do anything improper and it costs the city money, we can get, basically file an insurance claim against the bond to get reimbursed. And it comes to play when we do grants. Most grants want proof that our people that are signing the checks are bonded. So that's, it's something that we have to have in order to apply for many of the grants that we do get. Plus, it protects the citizens of Natchitoches for, any potential, money that comes missing for, whatever reason. As far, related to the 3 people named on the bond.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All right, public comments, questions? Questions? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. All right, we have announcements. Next city council meeting is actually going to be the 14th, so you get a little extra weekend, being that this has a 5th Sunday in it. So, so we won't see you in 2 Mondays. We'll see you in 3 Mondays. I'm sorry, go back to the other piece. Yeah, annual State of the City address is going to be next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We're going to live stream it through YouTube, and we'll put the link I think we talked about on Facebook. So just want to have that, all right? So next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Community conversation on crime. This is going to be this Thursday at the Martin Luther King Recreational Center, large meeting room. And as it says there, join Mayor Williams, Chief Collins, to participate in discussion about crime in our community and possible solutions. We have certainly been reading not only the uptick in other places, but the uptick in crime, even some of the things that we've noticed, and just noticed comments from folks on Facebook and things like that. So if we walk away with a mindset that it takes all of us together to help to try to mitigate some of these things, I think we'll be moving down the right path. So hopefully we have folks there ready to make some positive change in our community. All right? I think that's all we have in terms of announcements. Okay?
Can I make one, Mayor, if you don't mind?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
On February the 14th, I would like to announce that the community will be getting together for an African-American parade, which will start on Texas Street at 1 o'clock, leaving Texas Street by the Checkers parking lot.
Did you say the 14th?
The 14th of February.
That's a Monday, isn't it?
I'm sorry, the 12th of February.
Right.
Thank you, Mayor, the 12th of February at 1 p.m. The mayor will be in that parade. So just want to ask the public to please join us. We'll be leaving Texas Street, and we will end up at the Ben Johnson Auditorium parking lot to end the parade there. And we're asking for groups, anyone that would like to participate, please contact myself, Ralph Wilson, Tankia Palmer, Chad Nelson. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much again. February 12th at 1 p.m. All righty. At this time, we will hear motion to adjourn.
I so move.
All right. All in favor?
Second.
All right.